Good afternoon and welcome to Monaco. Welcome to episode 3 of Project Zephyr. My name is Frederic, COO of Moravia Yachting, and I have the pleasure of being with the one, the only, Virginia Di Antonio. But I have to ask, is that fair for anyone who is not Italian to try to pronounce an Italian name, or would you prefer it comes out in English, Virginia Di Antonio? Just out of interest.
I love how you do it in Italian. I think I'll stick with the Italian.
So we're here in Monaco. The last time you did episode 1 and 2, you were in the lovely Palm Beach.
Exactly.
And you had great conversations about this project, a special project, a big project. Your first episode was with a very famous, very well-known designer.
Yes, Johnny.
Johnny. It was a fun episode by the looks of things. You guys were having a bit of a laugh.
Yeah. No, I mean, Johnny's it's an interesting character. I mean, as every creative person, I would say. But yeah, we had a very interesting conversation. And obviously, after that, we heard from Henning, CEO of Dormeuil, and together we're trying to take brick by brick, even though we're not building a house here, but we're trying to get and deep dive into Project Zephyr and understand it a bit better.
Yeah, with two different sort of nationalities, two different concepts in terms of an Englishman designing, a German constructor. It's two different vibes.
Yeah, well, the last thing you needed is an Italian, right?
You said it. So I've got the pleasure of actually doing the reverse. Normally I have to be interviewed, but it's actually quite nice to do it the other way around. So I've got a number of questions. So I have the privilege of opening the book.
Don't worry, I'm ready.
Okay, I'm not going to start with the question. I'm actually going to start with the role I think Moravia plays in this. Like any broker, be it our competitors next door or ourselves, I think it's only fair that we as brokers give such projects opportunity. I think there's that philosophy that you can very easily deal with boats that are already in the marketplace. It's quick wins, it's quicker negotiations, but I think sometimes it lends itself to be correct to give shipyards who don't necessarily have, in this instance, a full super yacht background, commercial shipyard. I think it gives them a limelight, and it's a deserving attribute for the brokerage houses to help such projects, no?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, Dormeuil has a very big heritage. I would say that obviously getting into super yachting is a completely different ball game, but they have the capabilities, obviously. And I think for us as brokers is important also to give and shed a light on what actually shipyards can do. Not only sell what's already in the water, but also sell a bit of a dream. I mean, yachting at the end of the day is all about pleasure. A buyer coming in imagines himself on a boat or herself on a boat. And so I think that when it comes to projects, obviously there's the whole creative side of things. And for sure, I mean, us as brokers, we play a very big and important role in that.
But where do we start with such things like this? I mean, it's a big vessel, 116 meter.
The main point here is that you don't start with a yacht. You start with what you want to do. What is your dream? Where do you see yourself cruising? What do you see yourself doing? What kind of operation do you want to run? Who do you want to take with you? Is it family? Is it friends? Is it a mix? Most likely when people go into new build projects, they've already experienced yachting. So they pretty much know the likes, the dislikes, and, you know, obviously going into a new build project is a completely different thing. Now, Project Zephyr obviously already has a design, yes. Which is great. And that means that someone coming in already kind of can see the vision, right? But initially speaking, you don't start from a yacht. So you don't start from a sketch or you know, a boat itself in the second-hand market. You start with what do you want to do with it? But
in this case, because it has already been designed, the interior we can have a play with, of what yes. I've understood, but the external lines have already been done. Is that off-putting for a buyer going, hang on a second, I wanted to come in and have something completely new? Why are you guiding me? Or is it quite useful to go, actually, thank you very much indeed, because I didn't really know, but this has given me a nice, and I like this. Is it off-putting or is it an advantage?
I think it depends on which site you're sitting in. There's obviously, I don't think that comparing a project that's already designed with a completely new build, it's not comparing apples to apples. Yeah. I think that when you talk about a project that's already been designed, it could be helpful for someone that comes in and says, you know, maybe I have way too many ideas, or I come in blank and I don't even know where to start. So obviously having an exterior design, already having a line, it's definitely something that probably puts you forward, right? You already see something and you can imagine it. Starting from scratch sometimes is difficult.
And the hesitations are where, do you think?
I would say that there's many hesitations when it comes to projects and new builds just in general. I think first and foremost is time. second is money, and third, it's probably not really being sure how it will look like at the end. So obviously time is like, is it going to be finished when they say it's going to be finished? Is my life going to change in the next 4.5 years? You know, am I going to want to be doing something completely different, or am I going to have a family by that point? I don't know. Second is definitely money. Is it going to cost more than it's been quoted for? You know, materials, obviously, the price of materials changes during time. 4.5 years is quite a long timeline if somebody starts today, you know. And the third is obviously not knowing really how will it look like. Am I going to like it in the end? Is it going to be something that is completely different from what I imagined, or is it going to be even better? So I think hesitations are normal, and probably they're also well-founded. I think that obviously in this industry, we've seen situations where maybe a project wasn't completely well-spec'd, or there wasn't a good relationship with the shipyard, or there was a broker that didn't take into account the client's interest, or maybe there was no broker at all. So it comes to a point where obviously I think us as brokers and our role is to take those hesitations and transform them into the right questions to ask, and kind of guide the clients towards something that, you know, they don't need to see the hesitations as fear. I think the hesitations are a sign that they're taking the project seriously, and they're only a good thing. And for us, it means guiding them into doing a project like maybe Zephyr, that could be the best decision they've ever made, right? So,
but I was thinking for the client, surely, and what's nice about the episodes that we're doing is we're showing this triangulated relationship. We're showing that shipyard's involved, we're involved, designers involved, it's healthy, we're all there to make it succeed. Bring client in, client comes in with a number of different stakeholders from their side, legal teams, maybe their own designers going, hang on, let us get involved. But I think surely less hesitation when they see the relationship.
Yeah, 100%. I think the relationship is one of the main pillars to build a project. You need to have people talking to each other, knowing each other, and obviously us working with Johnny and working with Henning, we all know each other. For us, it's easy to have that conversation. For a client coming in cold could be a bit more complicated. So obviously, having that reassurance that we already know what we're talking about. If a client comes in and says, Virginia, can we do this or that? I have the ability to pick up the phone and call Johnny or Henning and say, okay, is this feasible? Is this doable? And our role is to really navigate the client through the build process and make sure that we are the link between that holds the whole relationship between, you know, the three stakeholders plus us, and making sure that they enjoy the process. It needs to be fun. It needs to be exciting. And that's the thing that, you know, we're also here for.
So a buyer comes to the table, very interested in the project. How can you initially sit with the buyer and say, listen, people who have gone through this 4-5 year process before, here are the top 3 mistakes?
I think that one of the main things is that a lot of the clients build their yachts and expect their yachts to be built just around them and their family and their, you know, their group of friends, and kind of see how they want to use the boat, right? Which is completely fair and true. But at the same time, I think a lot of clients, after those 4.5-5 years, they understand that it's as important to think about a functional boat. So you need to think about the crew that live in there day to day. They're the ones operating the vessel. So maybe sometimes instead of doing another lounge, you might want a bigger galley because you want that level of service on your boat when your guests are on board, right? So I think one of the main things is definitely understanding that the boat needs to be also thought through for the crew and the professionals that work on it.
And also the resale value. I mean, the reality is you might not hold on to this for too
Absolutely.
many years. So
and
bright sort of fluorescent
and
yellow
that's
down the
point
corridors.
number 2. That's exactly where I was going. It's, you know, sometimes clients hyper customize something, right? Whether it's their master cabin or whatever it is, or even just design wise, interior wise, and they don't think about the fact that maybe there needs to be a balance between, you know, their likes and what is, let's say, the broader market. If in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years they decide to sell the boat, the resale process will be much easier if you have built something that has sense outside of only your own brain, right? I think that obviously when you build a project of this magnitude, you also need to think a little bit straight. And I think also that's also our role as brokers, is is to advise sometimes. And again, you know, we were speaking with Johnny, and he said that he really values having a broker on board, because we understand, we are on the market every day. You know, he sits in his studio and does a lot of sketches, and obviously he's built amazing vessels already, but we see the market in and out. We know the trends. Today, wellness and longevity is becoming massive. A few years ago, explorer yachts were, you know, born and were the thing. So having us in the process obviously gives Johnny and gives Henning
The market feel immediate.
exactly. And I think that's also where we come in the conversation with the clients. The client might turn and say, oh, I want this crazy thing. And we might, you know, gently and kindly say, that's great, but maybe think about it, not once, not twice, maybe 10 times before doing it, because when it comes to reselling, then you might have a problem.
If the client were to meet you and say, listen, what's your role, sorry, as a broker, beyond bringing me to the table and knowing people and everything else? What is our role? Is it a protectionism? Is it a guidance? Is it everything and anything? Or do you think the client just sees, well, you're the broker, you're helping do the deal. How do you think the clients see it today as the role?
I think it's
on this sort of a project.
I think it's all that you said. I mean, first and foremost is the trust that you've built with that client, right? So to bring a client to the table today for a project like this, it would mean that obviously you've already, you know, the client, you know what they like, and there's that confidence. The client might not know the designer, the client might not know the shipyard, and that's where we are also advisors. We are the people that understand the industry in and out. We see what comes out of the shipyards. We know the timelines. We know, you know, if a client comes today and says, I want to do a new build project, okay, but, you know, you start from scratch. Project Zephyr is a bit different. Yes, you still have a lot of customization possible in the interior, but let's say that the hard part is done, right? And they've done it brilliantly. I mean, Johnny and Henning have worked together on this, and they've done a brilliant job. But a client coming in today, you know, still has the option of customizing the whole interior, which means, you know, they will get to choose the world they inhabit in the end, you know, from the color palette to the furniture to the textures to...
Which is where they live, predominantly.
Exactly. Pretty much, yes. So I think that for us, for us as Moravia, for us as brokers, is important to guide the clients to make sure that they still have... they still feel like they have that one person that they can talk to. You know, they might not want to go to the designer and say, I don't like this, but they have the confidence to do that with us. So we become the advisors, we become the people that also protect them, because also having that relationship with the shipyard means that we know what's going on in the background. So we negotiate for them. We still, our main role is to make the best of their interests, right? We support them, and we look after them. So there's a lot that goes into being a broker for a project of this size. But I think first and foremost is having that confidence and that trust, and obviously the relationship that they might not have with the people involved.
Let's talk about the buyer. I think if we were sitting here 5 years ago, the demographic on that buyer, I think, would be very different. 5 years ago, we didn't know that unfortunate wars in Iran would take place. We didn't know certain dynamics of world macro and both micro. The buyer for me, I mean, it could be anyone today. It could be a 35-year-old, 29-year-old, age-wise. It could go in so many different directions, so many different nationalities. I mean, I get surprised when we have the fortunate time sometimes to see who the UBO is. And my eyes kind of go, wow, already at that. Yep. I mean, you give a hand clap going, clever you, in terms of, if you were to have a scent on this.
I think it definitely needs to be somebody that has the curiosity and the intent of bringing to life something that they own, they don't possess. It's not a possession. It's something that would not have taken place without them. So the creativity behind it needs to be someone that has imagination, somebody that has intelligence and understands.
And patience. Patience, 4 years.
Patience, for sure. But, you know, at the end of the day, I don't think there is somebody that can buy the project or somebody that cannot buy the project because it doesn't fit an age group or a nationality or anything else. I think it really needs to be someone that understands what a project means and that has that intelligence of saying, I understand the logic of it. I like the exterior design. I either want to use Johnny as well to do the interior or bring in my interior designer, but I can see this in 4.5 years. I can see where this is going. And at the end of the process, at the end of the build, they're going to have something that wouldn't have existed without him or her, as I said before. So I think it's more, it has to do more with a person's character and personality rather than
age.
Age.
Well, I think it's an exciting project. It's a very exciting project. I think it's a deserving project from both the designer standpoint and the shipyard. I think our role as Moravia, in this instance yourself, bringing it together, being the forefront, giving it the deserving scope that it requires, is a key trust angle to the sort of zone of industry that we're in. Everyone is needing. We need the shipyard to build. We need someone to make it. We need someone to design the making of it. We need someone to help bring clients to the table and take us through this project so that it comes out as successful. So thank you for that chat. I think it's a nice wrap up to the 3 episodes. Thank you for your efforts as well, because as brokers, there's also that doing on the right-hand side, left-hand side. So, and I think that's transparency as well. We're saying, you know, there is energy to put this in and find it. It's not in the water at the moment, which is, again, going back to our initial conversation at the beginning. The ones in the water are generally easier and quicker and everything else. But I like that we give exposure and time to such projects. I think it's important.
Yeah, I think it's a challenge, but as we've said, it's definitely important. And I think for someone that has seen episode 1 and episode 2 and is now probably watching episode 3, I think it's
disagreeing with everything we're saying.
Absolutely. They're going to be like, what are they talking about? No, but I think for someone that's come this far, they understand obviously everything that's gone into this project, and there's a lot there. And so for someone that has come this far, I'd say you've done the hard part, right? And if it was a buyer watching us, I would say, well, you know, we don't have to commit to anything today, but let's start that conversation. Let's see if this is something that would fit you. Let's see if, you know, you get along with the designer and the shipyard, and if you understand what it means. Also worth noting, you know, Dormeuil have couple weeks ago came out with the news that obviously they've now secured a new facility, and that's going to be home to the build of Project Zephyr, which means that the project has taken a massive step forward. It's taken a leap, and obviously now we're just at the point
becoming
where
reality.
It's becoming reality. It's like we know where it's going to be built. We have the design. Now we just need the buyer to come forward and say, okay, let's start this conversation. I think that obviously Dormeuil has shown their commitment in securing a facility and saying, we know what we're doing and we're ready to build. Johnny is ready and always on the other side of the phone saying, okay, let's do something more. Let's keep going.
Thank you very much. Really interesting.
Thank you.